Hello, hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Ah, still here. Still smiling.
I don't know whether this has gone funny. Like, I don't know if you can see the top of my head. I don't know what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah, so I can't see your lips.
Mm.
Mm.
But then when it's just me, it's fine.
Oh, that's odd.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
See if I can. My...
Oh, that's it. You're back now.
There you go. There you go. A little bit bright,
Mm.
though.
That's good. Fine.
How is you this
Yeah.
day today? How, and I can see Lucy Lou is with us. Give her a wave, and you're welcome to join us. And C8 Urs, it's another wave. So today we are talking about parenting styles, aren't we?
Yeah.
So what do we know about parenting styles? Let's put parenting styles. I suppose one of the questions that we had is the whether, well, I think there's a couple of things.
Mm.
I think one of the things that I want to explore this evening about parenting styles is, does it influence the kind of partners that we choose? So the way in which we're parented, does that kind of gear us towards a certain type of partners that we choose? Do we tend to, or how many of us tend to replicate the parenting style that we were parented, the way that we were parented as a child, when we're parenting our children? Or apparently there's quite some theories that we do the opposite, some of us.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
As well.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, it'll be interesting to get a consensus of what do we think is the most appropriate parenting style. So I'm going to hand over to you, Nalini,
Yeah.
to introduce the 4 parenting styles, if you don't mind.
Yeah. No, not at all. Okay. I think parenting is such it's a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's open. Do you know what I mean? And it's personal.
Yeah, it's open and
Yeah,
personal.
it's personal because parenting comes with baggage.
Mm. Oh, what do you mean?
It comes with baggage because um, what you just said. You said what was the last thing you said? Something about doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So a lot of the times, what we tend to do is, if we were parented a certain way, you go the extreme opposite because you don't want your children to experience what you went through as a child.
That's assuming that we think that parenting style wasn't
Yeah,
great.
that's right. Right. Yeah, and that's what I mean by parenting is so personal and it comes with baggage.
Mm.
Right?
But it can come with
Yeah,
baggage.
it can come with baggage. Yeah, yeah.
We're
Yeah.
probably giving away a little bit of ourselves here, aren't we,
Yeah.
of our experiences, which is okay.
Yes. Okay. So the 4 parenting styles that you generally find are the authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then you've got the authoritative, if that's the way, if I pronounce it correctly. It sounds right in my head. The permissive parenting and the uninvolved
Okay.
parent. Right. Obviously, the authoritarian is quite straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, it comes with a parenting style of, it's almost like you're seen and heard.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're
You're
seen,
seeing
but
not
no. That's right. Yes, I
him.
told you to do it because I
Because
said so.
I said so. Yeah. Yeah. Why? Because I said so. Like, you're not. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, I think with being an oh,
Or
jeez,
authoritarian.
thank you, parent. I think it is. I think it comes with a lack of respect for the
Ooh.
child. It is because, well, if you think about it, if I run through the list, the characteristics of an authoritarian parent, or even an authoritarian person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Parent part, right? What are you generally controlling,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
managing? Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no explanation behind anything you asked to do, so there's no explanations behind rules. Um, Mistakes are punishable offenses,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is, again, there's no explanation of anything. Um, it is, you know, it comes with a lot of demanding,
Okay.
right? It's not warm, it's quite
Right.
cold,
Okay. So,
right?
yep. Okay. Can I challenge you?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So I guess we've still got to go on to the other three. But I wa- wonder whether parent, the authoritarian, the
Mm,
author, the authoritarian
yeah.
parent is more protective.
Okay.
So therefore, they come across as strict. They're very strict. I wonder whether they, rather than them not respecting the child, I wonder whether it's more that they expect the child to trust them. So it's a lot of trust me and respect my guidance. So if I tell you that this is what we're going to do, or this is what I want you to do, I want you to trust me, and I want you to be respectful, that I know I've got your best interest at heart, and I want the best
No,
for you.
no, no. That is more of an authoritative parenting style, maybe, where there's communication, right? There is communication. There is, I'm here. I've got you.
Okay, let's go to the so that's let's have a look at the authoritarian. We've done it, so we just spoke, because the problem I've got is they're so
It's so similar,
the names are
but
so similar, authoritarian and for
yeah,
authoritative. Okay, so we just spoke about the authoritarian. You see it as very kind of disrespectful, my way or the highway.
yeah.
I'm kind of seeing it as more of a protective, trust me, respect me. So let's have a look at the authoritative parent.
Okay, so that is more, the parenting style is more about establishing rules and guidance, right? It's a more democratic way of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's responding to children's needs and questions as opposed to a reactive, I told you so.
Mm-hmm.
It's providing, and it also comes with a lot of providing of warmth, of support, of, you know, uh, care. It, it is a warming approach to parenting. I'm still the parent,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm still the parent,
Yeah.
but we can establish something together. Right?
So you think more of a partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think at the end of the day, life is about
Mm-hmm.
partnership, regardless if it's with a partner. a romantic partner or your children or your co-workers. It doesn't really matter who you're dealing with. They're all at the end of the day, right? So if you are warm and you are nurturing, it's a lot easier to warm up to you. It's a lot easier to come to you, to approach you, right? Also, when we look at parenting styles, we also look at how it affects children. So what are the outcomes that happen to children, right? So when you look at the authoritarian parenting style, you're looking at a child that could generally rank, or actually in this study, right, it actually said children rank lower happiness, social competence, low self-esteem, and they tend to lie to avoid getting punished, right? Okay, so that's the authoritarian, seen and not heard. Right. So whereas when you have the authoritative parenting style, you have a child that is a lot happier, more successful, it's capable, because you're embracing the child for who the child is, and I'm molding you to what I want you to be. Do you see what I mean? Although the words sound similar, they are so the complete opposites of each other.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're that far apart.
I think being authoritative is a lot more kinder. It's warming. It is open for discussion, as opposed to the authoritarian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then you have the permissive parenting style.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the parent that doesn't say no. Right. I'm your friend. Oh my God, you're my bestie. Like, for life, that kind of, parent. Yeah, so there's no real rules that are enforced. I want to be your friend, rarely being disciplined. But children that have this kind, okay, so when you look at a child that is constantly said yes to, right? In the real world, they'll struggle with somebody that says no.
Yeah.
Do you see? Right.
Yeah.
So it's so when you're looking at a permissive parenting style, although it's there's no real, and also, um how do I say this? Parenting, especially when you've gone through like a little a hiccup in the family or something like that, something's happened, and the notion is to then be your child's friend because, they've gone through this bad experience, so let me be the nice parent here, let me just do yes to everything that my child wants me to do.
That'd be overcompensating.
Precisely. So permissive comes into that, right? That's where you get the temper tantrums from.
Okay.
That's where you get the kicking and the screaming. I want my way, or it is the highway, parent. So I suggest you do what I want you to do. And the parent that is being permissive, and the parent that is overcompensating because they think suddenly the child is, emotionally damaged, they are the ones that will give in to everything that the child requests through crying.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the uninvolved parents.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that in itself kind of explains what it means. Neglect.
Oh my
Right.
gosh! Really? Oh
Yeah.
my
Okay.
god!
No. Wait, hold on. Before you wait, wait. Let me explain this. Okay, so when you have this is the parent. The uninvolved parent is the parent that meets the child's basic needs of everything: food, shelter, clean clothes, blah blah blah. You know, basic needs all met. So you can't really call social services and say, "Oh, I'm being neglected right now," right? Okay, you can't really. But then when you look at it on the emotional side, you can turn around and say, right, okay, but you're unavailable, emotionally unavailable, mentally unavailable. Your presence is not there for the child, right? So in some way or another, you're still causing emotional damage to that child or mental damage to that child. It's abuse in some form or another, just not necessarily physical.
Wow.
I know. Truth hurts, right?
Harsh today, right? Woo. Wow.
Right. So, okay, but again, with this kind of parenting, um, it is the lack of self control, you know, the
Oh,
low self esteem, the lack of
okay.
peers around, so lack of friendships,
Mm,
because you know, you asked a question earlier, something about the kind of people we attract.
yeah, I don't even know if we're going to get to that part. This is like,
No, no,
on,
no, we will.
do I pick on this whole.
No, we will because I actually had this same conversation with a girlfriend of mine this morning.
Mm,
So we will get to that part. But the way we are parented as children reflects on the kind of person that we have romantic relationships with.
mm. Do you know what? I just actually feel quite uneasy. I don't like with the different definitions of the parents.
Mm.
I don't know why I feel like campaigning for each type of parent that is not the authoritarian. I feel like, you know, because I have empathy for everyone, and yeah, like
Look,
even starting off with the authoritative.
authoritarian or
uh,
authoritative?
yeah, no, everyone that's not the authoritative. Sorry, I'm doing that again.
Okay.
With the authoritarian, where I was saying,
Mm.
is it a case of protection? Is it a case of I expect my children to trust me
Yeah.
and be respectful? And I also wonder as well, with parents, as parents, do we dip into different parenting styles depending on where we are and what's going on in our lives and all of these types of things?
Yeah.
Because with the authoritarian
Mm.
parent, there could also be that sense of urgency
Mm.
and that the feeling like I need to adopt this parenting style because the way that my child is.
Okay, so okay, the thing is, right? We, like you said, yes, we do dip
Mm-hmm.
from, because you don't naturally, for me, the authoritative parenting style is
Mm-hmm.
learnt, a consciously learnt parenting style,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're very conscious in the way you parent your kids through that style. You're very present, right? Being an authoritarian, you can easily be there but not there.
Okay. I mean, there's a notion that an authoritarian parent doesn't take a child's feelings into consideration.
Mm.
Now, maybe that's because our feelings can go up and down. They change. They're interchangeable. So when a child says, "I don't feel like doing this," well, regardless of whether you feel like it or not, you unless you're sick, you have to go to school.
Yeah.
It's not I don't feel like going to school. I don't feel like eating. I don't feel like going to sleep. These things are necessities. You have to do it. I guess what you're asking, what we're expecting is that the parent ask, why don't you feel like doing this? And try and delve a little bit deeper into what is it about? What is it? Why don't you want to do this? And maybe they just cut to the chase of like, you have to, it has to be done. Whether you like it or not, you have to do this.
I think I I think the permissive parent would be more the one to ask that kind of questions, to such basic, normal, common sense kind of, you need to go to sleep or you need to go to school. Like, to me, that's just common sense. These things you have to do. You have to eat, you have to go to school and shower, all these things. These are just things that we have to do for hygiene, for knowledge, all that kind of basic stuff, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I think that would be more of a permissive parents entertainment kind of thing, because I'm too busy wanting to be your friend. It's like, oh baby,
What?
why?
What? Okay, you're saying that the asking
Mm,
a bit more
mm,
permissive. The So you need to get the balance between this child that is all in their feelings. So if you're just like, listen, we're not interested in your feelings, this is what needs to be
yeah.
done, end of.
Okay. Okay. So okay, maybe because you're looking at it with such basic everyday scenarios, I think you're questioning it more than it needs to be. Does, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think so, because I'm just a little bit concerned about that the authoritarian parenting
Yeah.
is, yes, it's strict,
Mm.
yes, it's straight to the point, you have to do this, and you
Yeah.
know what boundaries are as a child, you know what your parent expects of you,
Mm.
you know what's permissible, you know what's not.
Mm.
There's no kind of, it's very black and white, you know, it's quite clear, and I understand the issues that come with being around that kind of parent, of having that kind of parenting style all your life.
Yeah.
And one of the things of, you might grow children, like we've heard, there was this next, I think it was a Netflix show that I watched, and the just briefly, this woman had gone on a blind, met somebody on Tinder. I don't know if you've watched this. It was like I think it's called the longest date ever.
Okay.
So she met someone on Tinder or one of these dating, or Hinge, or whatever, these dating app things. And the first date was like, okay, she liked him, thought it was all right.
Mm.
Second date, they were talking, they kind of connected on the phone. And the second date was, let's go for a long weekend
Oh, okay.
away.
Right.
They went to, I can't remember where they went. They went away, but it was just at the brink of COVID.
Right.
So when they went away for this long weekend to another country, they were stranded there. Now the interesting thing is, the girl was just like, I will tell everybody what I'm doing, but I'm not telling my
Right.
dad, because it's just so strict.
Right.
And as much as she's an adult now, I don't even think she was living at home.
Mm.
She still got into this, I'm just a habitual
Mm.
liar.
Oh,
I've just learned never to tell him the
right.
truth, because there's things that he doesn't like. He's going to be, I'll get the lecture and da 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 da. So I've just learned to lie. And if you're going to be controlling, you said this to the guys, it's like, if I feel like I'm being controlled or I'm being restricted in life, I will lie. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
So I kind of get like, yes, she was grown up. She grew up with this authoritative parent, and that was how she coped with that.
Yeah.
It sounds like her mum wasn't that type of person.
Right.
So
Yeah.
she could tell her mum what she was doing and be quite upfront with her mum. But when it came to her dad, it was like, yeah, he's not to know that I met this guy and I'm away in another country in the middle of COVID with someone that was practically a stranger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's with an authoritarian parent that was probably extremely controlling,
Yeah.
right? The need to constantly lie just to stay away from trouble. Yeah, no, I get that.
Mm.
I get that. But that's why, and it's interesting because hence why she would probably repeat that cycle
Yeah.
throughout life until she actually learns the pattern.
Yeah.
Until she learns the pattern, um, she will continue to do that.
Mm.
Look, I grew up. My dad was, I'd say, yeah, a little bit of an authoritarian kind of a figure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we have the best relationship now, right? But when I was growing up, I always got into trouble,
Mm.
right? Um, and yeah, was seen, not heard, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but then it was also culture,
Right.
right? So a lot of the parents that I've worked with over the years, coming from really strong cultures, you know,
Mm.
like the Indian culture or the African culture, right? You know, like growing up, like all I ever heard was, oh, we were told, we just did what we were told.
Okay.
You wouldn't question it,
Yeah.
you know, and that comes from a lot of that kind of parenting style. It's very authoritarian, you know. And then when you grow up in that environment and then you go and have children of your own, you tend to go the extreme opposite way. So you then become the permissive parent who never says no to their child because all they ever got as a child themselves was no.
Mm.
Right now, I want to be your friend because my parents were never my friends. So therefore, I'm going to befriend my children, and
Mm.
therefore there's no real rules established in our life. There's no real boundaries. Just say what you want, you know, do what you want. You know, you get to decide, really.
Where's that? You mean like
When you
is
become
for
a permissive parent,
the
right?
permissive
Yeah.
parent?
So after being brought up in a house that was authoritarian kind of style of parenting, then when you grow up, you become the exact opposite. And this is what I've been told. So when I've run my courses, this is what I've been told, that you know that. And this particular mum actually said to me, she said, oh, I just let my children do what they want because, you know, my parents were so strict when I was growing up. So now I just don't let my children, no, I don't give my children boundaries and, um,
Mm.
um, uh, exa- uh,
You don't give, because the thing is boundaries are there to protect our children. It creates structure for them and makes them feel safe.
yeah, yes, that's right. Yes.
But it's not it's never like it's a good. We know that boundaries are a good thing. And if a child that grows up in an authoritative home, it's going to have high
Yeah.
self-esteem. Um, and I get that. You know, I totally get that, and I understand. And I suppose this is why I'm kind of like campaigning or just trying to give a little bit more empathy for this authoritative, that
So,
authoritarian parent, because I don't think they're coming from a place of um control, or I feel like it is coming from a place of protection and trust me, and literally, like, I'm the parent and you are the
Yeah.
child. You know very little about life, the risks and all of these kind of things. So you need to trust me when I say this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of emphasis on being obedient. You know, if I say no, it's no.
Yeah.
And maybe as this authoritarian parent, you've got so much going on in your life in terms of providing for your family and making sure they just don't have the time to go through the let's explain everything. You know, if you can, imagine.
I've lost your volume.
Why, mummy? Why, daddy? Why? You're like, stop asking me why.
Yeah.
It is this way because it is this way. You think, like, why do I don't have to explain myself?
Yeah. Okay. But that's fine if it gets to the 100th time and the child has asked you why, right? But when you're an authoritarian parent, that child has no opportunity of asking why. That child wouldn't ask why. The child wouldn't even look to even think of asking you why, because it knows that if I open my mouth now, that is a backhander that's coming my way.
Oh wow!
Not
See
now.
that? See, this is the interesting thing. So I had an authoritarian parent. I think it's quite It's quite common. I wouldn't say normal. It's quite common that the the father figure is usually the authoritarian type.
Yeah.
And I had discovered the way of having a relationship with him where I could ask those questions.
Right.
And it was, and I discovered that obviously at quite a young age, to the point that where he had said to me, I don't understand why your brothers don't talk to me the way that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is why I'm so kind of like, let's not be too hard on the authoritative
Mm.
parent, because um, I don't think it's coming from a bad, negative or
Okay.
place. I
So
do think that there's part of that which is about, this is how I know to keep you
yeah.
safe.
Okay. So okay. The thing is, right? Um, I come from a household of three,
Hmm.
right? If you were to ask the oldest one out of the three about his childhood,
Hmm.
he would have a totally different story to the one that I could give you,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and that's the same in my household as well.
Exactly, right? So you've got one of how many?
Yeah, I'm one of
Right,
four.
right. And you are the youngest, right?
Mm.
Exactly. That older sibling of yours is, mate,
And
I am
another story. And the only girl as well. So
you.
it's and the only girl. So that's two different dynamics of
Exactly, right. And it's the same for me. And like I said to you, even though I came from that household, today I can honestly, hand on heart, I can tell you, I can speak to my father in a way that both my brothers would never think of speaking to my father,
mm,
being the only girl, but also having that relationship, having that open and honest relationship where I can come to you to have that, right?
mm,
But that comes from a place of healing, that comes from a place of understanding. So you I get why you um feel the way you do, but then
mm,
I was sitting here speaking to your older sibling, that your sibling would have a very different opinion, right? But
yeah.
look, the way I look at it is, it's I always tell parents when I work with them, there is a right and wrong.
Do you said there is
There is
a right,
right
or
and
there
wrong.
isn't,
No, no,
or there is.
no, there is. right? There is a clear line of what is wrong.
Okay.
Neglect, abuse, all that kind of stuff, that is
Yeah.
wrong, right?
Get
Any
that.
form of abuse is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I am very clear in when I say this to the parents that I work with, there is a clear right and wrong. But when it comes to parenting, we live and
Mm.
learn. And it is the only job in the world that has no job description. You know, you've got to go with your gut instincts. You've got to go with what you knew growing up as a child. You know, there's a lot of learn on the spot kind.
Yeah. I mean, and there's, you know, and also, like, if we go to the other extreme,
Mm,
uninvolved parent,
mm,
and I don't, now the uninvolved parent, you don't ask your child about schoolwork or homework. You really know where your child is, who they are with. You don't spend much time with your child. Um, Uninvolved parent, they tend to have few rules in the household. Children may not receive much guidance or
yeah,
nurturing or parent attention.
yeah.
Uninvolved parents may be neglected, but it's not always intentional.
Mm. Uh, it wouldn't be intentional. And this is the thing. A lot of this comes with what you've learned as a child growing up, right? If you had parents that were emotionally unavailable, you tend to be emotionally
Mm,
unavailable, right?
mm,
To attract people that are emotionally unavailable,
mm,
right? So there is a lot of it's a lot of learnt behavior.
mm.
No, nobody in their right mind would want to do something to hurt and
No.
right. Nobody in their right mind. So this is a very subconscious thing.
And there's the uninvolved parent. It says they could be overwhelmed,
Yeah.
overwhelmed
Oh, yeah.
uh,
You you
with
have
paying
mum.
bills, with putting food on the table, with, you know, their own problems that they, or it could be the balance of I'm uninvolved because there is another parent that's very much present. It could be the opposite of when you're
Yeah, yeah.
co-parenting. There's two parents, and the other parent is authoritative.
Mm. Authoritarian or authoritative? Which one?
Go back to have a look at which one I want to say. Authoritarian.
Yeah.
That you just feel like you don't have to be involved.
Mm,
There's enough, you know. There's not enough. There's that. Yeah, I can be the uninvolved parent because there's a parent that's on top of it, or
mm. Yeah.
asking about a child's homework. It could not asking about the child's homework could come from an assurance that I trust my child
Mm,
and I know that they know what they're doing. I can imagine where there's an older
mm,
sibling who has to look after
mm.
their younger
Yeah.
siblings and has like caring responsibilities. You know how we deal with a lot of young carers, may also find that there is an uninvolved parent in the midst.
Yeah. So the child has to be the other parent.
It's probably taking on some parenting
Yeah.
responsibilities in the home for the younger ones.
Yeah. And it's it's hard. It parenting requires a lot of conscious effort,
Mm.
but it also requires a lot of self-reflection.
Mm.
Um, when my oldest was little, so he would have just started reception. Now, bear in mind, coming from Sydney, well, growing up in Australia, coming here, I was on my own, right? And I had my ways of doing things. I wanted to be a parent a certain way because that's how I saw fit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Luckily for me, their father had no objections because he didn't have an opinion, but like he didn't have his own style. So he kind of just let me get on with how I wanted to parent, right? So I got on with it. But it required a lot of self-learning.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was once, and I remember this so vividly, because these are things that you won't ever forget as a parent. Well, it's something that I don't think I'd ever forget. The look on my son's face when I yelled at him about his reading. And when I saw his look, I looked at him and I thought, dude, I've had that face before. I'm like, that's what I used to look like when my dad used to yell at me. And I was like, you know, it crushed me.
Mm.
It crushed me to a point I was like, I don't want to be that parent. I don't want to be my dad, you know, but I also don't want to be my mom, right? So having my kids, I had to learn who I was as a person to then figure out how I wanted to parent,
Mm.
right? So I had to learn that it was a lot of conscious work. So I'm not going to react to you because that comes from the subconscious, right? So what are you doing? You're in the middle of cooking. You've got 1,000 noises going in your head. And then they come into your room, come into the kitchen, because that's where you cook.
Mm.
They come in the kitchen and they're like, ma, ma, ma. And I'm like, what? What? And you lose your marbles right there, just like that. And it's like, oh, what? You know, and it could have been a simple thing. Usually with my daughter is, can I have a hug? Is like, oh my God, right? It's what she wants.
Mm.
Okay. But that, how I reacted was unnecessary because I was reacting because my head was too busy with noise, and noise that was external, and that was noise that actually has no life. It's just in your head.
Mm.
But it takes up so much of time in your head that you become reactive, right? So that's why I say parenting comes with so much of conscious effort, because you've consciously got to be there. And being conscious, you've got to be present, right? I can feel the ground underneath my feet. I know what I'm doing. I can smell my cooking. I can hear the noise, the crackling of the fat on the oil, blah, blah, blah. Like you can go on and on, right? So when the child walks into the kitchen and says, ma, ma, it's like, yes, what do you want? Right? Then you get an opportunity to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? So with parenting, it really is looking at you as a person and
Mm-hmm.
what you want out of it, right? What do you lead? What, you know, the way the way I look at it is, what do I want my children to remember of me always, right? And that's how I look at parenting. One, I'm crazy, curly, but I'm fun, I'm loud, and I'm spontaneous, right? And these are memories that I want my children to always remember me of. My mom was just crazy. Happy crazy, yeah, not the other crazy, right? So it's what am I leaving behind? What is the imprint I'm leaving behind? What are they going to remember? The love, the abundance of love, or are they going to remember the absence?
Yeah, of course.
Do you see what I mean? So so for me, it wasn't a point of, you know, it was more a point of, right, I've had these kids, now I've got to go into society.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of human beings are they going to be?
Yeah.
So what values am I going to install? So like I said, it became such a conscious decision for me on how I wanted to do this. Right?
Mm.
If a lot of the times what we tend to do is we kind of have kids because that's what you do when you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
right? And then there's no thought process after that.
Mm. And I get that you can be, there's a need for conscious and mindful parenting. Came up with that, don't even know if it's a thing, but in the sense of, yes, taking that time to be reflective and think about the impact that we're having on our children, and but it's literally renewing your mind, constantly doing this every day,
Yeah.
and checking in with yourself every day, because you know, our children's needs, our needs change.
Yeah.
And there's also, you know, even as parents, there's a part of which we have to, if we're not whole, we're not well, it's very difficult for parents to parent well. So there's a bit of like where we as parents also have to prioritize ourselves. But one of the things that I think is really important to bring home is the need for forgiveness, and the need to be able to forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
And whilst we're checking in with ourselves, and whilst we're reflecting, it's forgiving ourselves daily, like doing it constantly.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yesterday was not so great. The moment that I screamed at my children whilst I was cooking wasn't great. But there's grace, there's enough grace for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So forgive yourself and learn from it, move on, and get on, you
Yeah.
know, try again the next day.
Yeah.
And I feel that what is happening a lot now is that we're now adults, and there's this kind of therapy that's going on that's telling us to go back to our parents and tell them everything that they did wrong by us. Like having that conversation with them. And even if your parents are not alive, it's like this idea that we write the letter to our parents to like free ourselves of all the things that they wasn't the authoritative parent that you know gets all the brownie points. Because if we read up about this, the authoritative parent seems to be like the golden parent. If you are the authoritative parent, you're winning. Do you know what I mean? It's like you are you put an effort into creating and maintaining positive relationships with your child.
Listen. Don't read it, because you're reading it with so much sarcasm. No,
You
don't do it. Don't do it. No.
and
Okay. No. But again, Kemi, the thing is, right? We'll come back to our childhood and our parents. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Like I said, the authoritative parent is like, the communication style of being assertive.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, being assertive, we've got to learn how to be assertive. Yeah, assertive doesn't come naturally. Passive aggressive, what's the other one? Oh, I can't remember the other one. Anyway, and assertive, like they are styles. Like the other two, passive, there's passive aggressive, aggressive, and you've got assertive, right? Now the top three are natural. They come naturally to us because it's very subconscious, right? But the assertive style of communication, that is learnt. We learn how to be assertive, right?
Mm-hmm.
The authoritative parent is a learnt behavior. We consciously learn how to become that parent,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not something that it's that we've consciously got to do. Um, so that it does take time, but it doesn't mean that it's everybody's cup of tea. You could be authoritarian one moment, you could be permissive one moment. Like these, like you said, you dip into certain styles at certain times, right? It's not always the same case, because we're humans. We're going to go through our fluctuation of emotions, right?
And sometimes there's a need. Not that's the other thing that there's a need to be an authoritarian parent. There's a need to be. Sometimes there is the need to be the uninvolved parent, in the sense of, I need to let you get on with this.
Yeah.
I need you the space
Mm.
to learn. I'm not going to be asking you about your homework every day, because you're now of an age where you need to take responsibility for your own homework.
Yeah.
There's a part of like the permissive parent of when it's, I've set the rules, you've grown up around rules, you know what the
Yeah.
rules are, so I don't see why I have to reinforce them now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you make your own mistakes, because I think at this point in time it's the best way for
Yeah.
you to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's points in like where where parents will adopt a particular style also for that
Yeah.
particular child.
That's
But
right.
there could be a child that actually I don't have to be so involved in their life, because my child is so responsible.
Mm.
My child gets on with it. I trust my child. My child, we've done the work, done all the work in the past, and now I can be that uninvolved parent, and I can trust my child to look after the younger siblings
Yeah.
without the resentment, without the. And this is an interesting story and observation I noticed, is that I have a friend who is the eldest. Now, you can see the difference, because I'm the youngest. She's the eldest, and she recognizes that she was pretty much the carer to her younger siblings, and there's quite a big age gap. And as she was now as an adult, and she's sitting down with her therapist and they're having a conversation, it's like, what was that like? It's her norm. It was her norm. So she didn't know any different. It's not something that she's resentful for. It's not something that and like the therapist was like, yeah, well, you should be. You should be resentful. It's not fair that that was put on you as a child. So you should go back to your mum and have that conversation with your mum to say, this is what you did to me. And she was like, why would I go back as a grown woman and upset my mum with this narrative that you were an uninvolved parent when I was young, and you put a lot of responsibility for me to look after my children? Because at the end of the day, I've turned out all right.
Yeah. You know, the thing is,
I'm confident. I've got high self-esteem. I know my self-worth. Why am I going back over old ground to make my mum feel bad?
yeah. I think you said it. You said it when you began that topic of it's trending now, right?
Mm,
That's the trend now, right? That trend doesn't work on
mm,
everybody. Not necessary. I think for me, look, I think therapy is a beautiful
mm,
process,
mm,
and it helps give you a perspective, a different perspective on what you've experienced.
mm,
Um, but if you are in it to grow as a human,
mm-hmm,
from it, right? If you're there to play the victim, then dude, you're going to be playing the victim for the rest of your life. Okay, nobody's coming to help you, right? Um, but there is no need. Look, I went through the process of.
it's been given a negative word as well now in
Say that
society.
again.
Victim, that's been given a negative kind of connotations as well, like this playing the victim.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Kemi. We do come from the real world.
Some
Yeah,
people are genuinely victims.
yeah. Some people genuinely are victims, but those victims are the survivors, and they don't carry.
Yeah,
They don't go around calling victims.
exactly. But we
Right?
give victims such a negative, like, oh,
But
playing the victim. Oh, you don't want to be the victim.
yeah, yeah. But look, we all know. Oh, we all have that person in our life that carries on with that label on top of their head. I'm the victim. Oh my God, feel sorry for me. We all have that. We've seen it, you know. But and they're the reasons why people have that notion, that negative impression of a victim.
Yeah.
You
It's
know what I mean?
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah,
Unfortunate,
but
but
but I think we have to. But I've kind of switched, haven't I?
yeah.
But there are victims.
Yeah. Look, there are victims. There's no denying it. There is no denying it because there are, right? But for me, the way I look at it is, it's going back and telling your parent you messed up. I don't think that's necessary. I think if you are capable of healing and understanding, and this is why I said therapy is beautiful, because it does enable you to see it from a different perspective.
Mm.
You know, the way I looked at mine and my relationship with my mom was the fact that, you know, she did what she thought was best, and that's it. She didn't, you know, yeah, she bled all over me, a scar, a cut that I didn't create, but it's made me who I am today, you know. And I've grown from it. I've learnt from it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, her story, her story may have been her story, but I'm the warrior. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
how
And it's true. And I think I need to. I I'm convicted because I feel like the writing the letter, the going back to the parent
yeah,
and saying this could be part of the whole healing
yeah,
journey for
yeah,
someone and for those that have to do
yes,
it. Um, and I also think that, so yeah, I'm convicted in kind of disparaging that whole thing that some people have to do,
yeah,
and, and they get a lot of benefit from it.
yeah.
Uh,
It depends how look. It depends on how deep the scars run.
yeah, that as well. Yeah, exactly.
If you have to, like, if you really have to go down that road of having to express yourself, you know, well then, okay, you've got to go down that road, but you've also got to realize, is that person capable of understanding what they've done, right? I could go, and I know we need to finish up because it's 9 o'clock. uh, yeah, we have run out.
And a massive area.
Yeah,
I think that if there's anyone out there that's listening to this and you are an expert in this field, this is something that you've studied, this is something you know, we'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to come on the show and share your professional insights and experience from this as well. So do DM us, do get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. But we are back next week, 8 o'clock, and we look forward to catching up with you again on our Parent Plug-in show. So thank you for listening. Bye, everyone.
bye, Kemi.
Bye,
Bye.
Nalini.